You know what? I really love cooking. More specifically, I love cooking and new gadgets that come out. And recently I saw an infomercial for the KALORIK Maxx Air Fryer oven. Have you heard of this? It seemed really cool, so I bought one. This is going to be part 1 of 2 of utilizing this oven. We're going to pretty much deal with the setup, maybe burning off some of the oil, and cooking a few things. And then I'll do a part 2, which is pretty much just cooking. This is Jeff with Jeff Reviews for You, and my channel is dedicated to reviewing mostly as seen on TV items. I look at some consumer gadgets, other household items. Once in a while, I do a little bit of a DIY just because I think it's a lot of fun. If that interests you, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel and click the bell below so you're notified every time I release a video just like this one. Now, let's take a closer look at this Maxx Air Fryer oven to see if it's any good. This is our first look at the Maxx Air Fryer oven by a company called KALORIK, which I think is hilarious. Even though KALORIK and this company name starts with a K, it reminds me of calories and all the calories we're going to consume by using this awesome air fryer. So I left it just as it was when I took it out of the box. These things on the front are just stickers that can be peeled off. I just wanted you to see what it looked like when you pull it out of the box. I have cut the tape so I can open the doors. Check this out. Deluxe French doors. If you open one, the other one pops open too. That is really cool. I like the French door feature. So inside, you notice that there is an air fry basket. There's a rotisserie spit. Definitely have the crumb tray and a rotisserie spit handle, which that's cool because I do not like trying to get the rotisserie out, and this one actually has a handle. Well, that's not all. I really like the extra items that are included in the Maxx Air Fryer oven. Okay, so standard drip tray, and I should say these are really high quality pieces, right? That's not a cheap piece, or not a cheap drip tray. This one right here is dual purpose, right? So this is either your steak tray or your dehydrating rack. I also have this one right here, and I'm going to use this a lot. Bacon tray. The last one I actually left in the styrofoam, and that's really just to draw your attention to it. And the reason I did that is because sometimes these things are easy to miss. So make sure you check the styrofoam because they do pack some things in there and you don't want to miss it. The first thing I want to draw your attention to on this machine is the actual size of it. It is pretty gigantic. So let's do a height on here. I have about 14 inches tall. It's 16 inches wide, or just a little less than 16 inches, and 12 inches deep. Now that in and of itself is a pretty big machine, right? But I was reading the directions and they say you need to have 4 inches all the way around, side, top, and back, away from anything else. That's cabinets, that's other appliances, that's curtains. And the idea behind this is it creates so much heat you don't want to start a fire. So not only is this a big machine, but now you have to have it in a space where it's got 4 inches all the way around. I just wanted you to know that. Part of the directions here tell us to wash all of the pans and attachments that came with this with soapy water. In the event you need to wash this down, you're just supposed to use a warm cloth. They recommend not using any cleaners or any steel wool. Just a wet cloth, making sure it's cooled down so you don't burn yourself. There is an initial seasoning, or I guess cleaning process, and I'm going to run through that in just a minute, where in a sense, burn off all the oils from the factory. I just wanted to show you what this looked like first. Now I'm going to talk about the features here of your Maxx Air Fryer oven. So when it's plugged in and off, you'll see this light will just be lit around the start-stop button. When we want to turn it on, we just click this button and watch what happens. All these lights over here happen. So this is a dial. We're going to get to that in just a second. I have 4 buttons. This one right here just is the rotisserie spit button. So when you're in rotisserie mode, you click it and it'll turn the rotisserie, and you click it again to stop it. This right here is the light. I have air fry mode, which will operate the first 2 levels here. of all these words that are written on there, different cooking options, and then oven will operate the bottom. So let's start air fry mode real quick. Ready? So notice how these two are lit, and if I want to turn this dial, I can alternate between the different things. Right now it's air fry, and then there's chicken and fish, and I just keep going all the way through till I figure out what I want to cook. Okay, if I'm more interested in the oven part, I click the oven button, and now I'm down here where it's bake, broil, pastry, pizza, and whatnot. So first we're going to do is we're going to burn off the oil from the factory. You might notice that this is sitting on, it's actually a bamboo cutting board, or a bamboo placemat, I should say, because they say do not operate this on top of cloth, and instead of moving this off, I have this bamboo placemat here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it onto steak mode. And I know steak is under air fry. I'm going to turn it a couple times till I get to steak, and I click the button, and it pops me up here to time. So this says 13 minutes. Well, the directions tell me to do it at 20 minutes. So I'm going to turn till I get to 20 minutes. And there I am. And they also say 500 degrees. So if I want to alternate between the different cycles, I just push this round button. Down to steak, up to time, over to temperature. Now if I want to start this, I'm just going to click the start stop button. And now my unit is actually going through that temperature for 20 minutes. If I'm made a mistake, I want to stop real quick, I can hit stop, and it stops it. See how it says off, off? You may want to actually just shut the whole unit off. So in that case, you would actually hold down the start and stop button for 3 seconds. See what happens after 3 seconds? The whole unit shut back off again. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back through, run it through that steak cycle for 20 minutes just to burn off the oil, and then we're going to get cooking. Okay, so we have about 4 minutes left of that initial burning off the oil or grease from the factory. And there are a few things that I want to point out. One, the machine on the outside is warm in areas, but it is not hot, so it does not hurt if I was going to touch it. I will say, though, it is covered with vents all the way around it, and so it makes me think these vents probably help the machine breathe, right? And so that's why they do not want you to have anything within 4 inches, and that absolutely makes sense. I do want to draw your attention to this door. It is very, very hot. And they actually say if you're going to have to open the door mid-cycle, use a hot pad to open the door. And when you open it, the system will actually stop. And when you close it, it will start back up again. There's a little metal bar right here on the inside of the door. I'm going to shoot with this temperature gun just to show you the kind of temperature we're talking about. I mean, that's over 300 degrees. Now, the handle itself isn't that high, but it is 133, so that is pretty warm. So just be careful when you open that. Also, in the directions, they say when you do this initial burning off the oil, maybe even when you cook it for a few times, you're going to get some sort of smell. And I'll be honest with you, this thing stinks. The burning off the oil, it smells really, really bad. I actually can't be in the room with it when it's going on for the most part. I just wanted you to know that. One of my favorite things is bacon, so let's start there. It looks as though I was able to fit 5 pieces of bacon on the baking tray. So I should note that this is the baking tray on top of the drip tray. That's what the directions tell you. In the directions also it shows it going in here on the second shelf. So we're just going to put that in, hit the start button. We're going to hit air fry, move ourselves all the way over to bacon. It says 6 minutes at 425, so I'm hoping that works. So let's hit start. I'm going to come back at the end of the 6 minutes to let you know how it did. It's cool to look in. You can actually see the bacon moving as it's cooking. It moves up and down and back and forward. It's kind of cool to see. It looks like it's cooking. We're about 3 minutes in right now. So it just beeped, and the way I'm looking at it here, it looks as though it's not done to the way I like it. This is still pretty uncooked, and I don't know if that's because I used thick cut bacon or what. I'm going to actually put it in for some additional time, And I'm going to set it again for the full 6 minutes. It may only need 3 or so minutes, but I'm just going to keep an eye on it. All right, here we are. An additional 3 minutes has passed. What I'm noticing here is, let me open this up real quick. I'm noticing the ones in the back seem to cook a little faster, so I've been judging it by the ones here in the front. So that's interesting how the cook doesn't necessarily go equal. The ones in the back actually are looking done. This one in the front looks as though it needed a little more time. So just as you're cooking, just pay attention. Even though it pretty much evenly cooked, I know this one in the front seemed to be a little less cooked than the other ones. I will say they smell great. So I'm going to end up stopping these right here. I do notice, and I don't know if you can see a lot of this grease in the grease tray. And so that's pretty cool to see how it just drained all down that way. As with most cooking, this is going to be trial and error. You see how some of them are dark. I did have them in there for 9 minutes, but to me they look pretty good. I do like how they took that shape of the pan, all the grease dripped down, and listen to this. If you like crispy bacon, this did a great job. That bacon was crunchy and delicious and yummy. Now, I want to see how this thing does on some pizza. I love pizza, don't you? Pizza is underneath the oven feature, so I'm going to click oven, scroll over to pizza, click it. Oops, I didn't click pizza. I clicked proof. So what I'm going to do to go back is I'll hit oven, and it brings me right back down to my list. Scroll over again to pizza. I go up. So the directions recommend you preheating this oven for 10 minutes. So my pizza needs 18 minutes to cook. So I'm going to change this to 28. That gives me my 10 minutes of preheat and my 18 minutes of cook. I also am going to change this to 375 because that's what my pizza says. So now I'm going to start this, and when this hits 18 minutes, I'm actually going to put the pizza in. The timer just clicked 18 minutes here, so that means 10 minutes of preheat is done. I'm going to take my pizza and put it in the oven. Now this is half pepperoni, half cheese. We're putting it right here on the pizza rack. Watching my fingers. Now this is a 12-inch pizza. It's the biggest pizza that you can find to fit into this. So I'm going to close it now. It's going to cook for the next 18 minutes. I will say the directions said you can put this baking tray underneath, or this tray underneath, if you think it's going to drip. I'm going to let it go to see what it does for now, and if I see drips, then I'll slip this in. We have about 4 minutes left. I just wanted to show you that bubbling, ooey gooey cheese and pepperoni pizza. Looks delicious. So this still says it has about 3 minutes left. I'm actually going to take it out because the cheese is starting to get darker than I like it, and my pizza had a range of cook, so I'm going to stop it and just stop it that way. Open up the doors here, and I'm going to use my little tray remover, a little different this way. Just slide it out and just take a look at this pizza. Oh, let's see if I can slide it right onto here. It's a little darker than I like it, but you know what? Like I said, a lot of it's trial and error, but it does look delicious. So the pizza is cooled for a few minutes. I have cut it, but I wanted you to show there is very little grease. There are some crumbs in there, so I'm pretty impressed with how the pizza cooked. Check this out. It cooked for about 15 minutes. The directions say it can go between 15 and 18. I think next time I'll probably do it maybe 14 minutes, even though this looks good. And let's taste it real quick. I like the crunch. It tastes perfect. But maybe next time I'll do it about 14 minutes. So there's going to be a little trial and error, like I said, in cooking with this. But for the most part, the pizza was really, really good. And you know what I love most? It's hot outside. I used the Maxx Air Fryer oven to cook my pizza, and it did not heat my entire house like my oven does. You know what? Let's use the air fry mode and do some chicken nuggets and some French fries. the cook time for these are different. So the directions tell me to cook the nuggets at 350 for 22 minutes, and the directions tell me to cook the fries at 400 for 18 minutes. I'm actually going to go with the higher of the two temperatures and just keep an eye on the nuggets. I've decided to slip this drip tray in, or the tray in, if it drips down, because the directions tell me I can. I'm a little interested to see what blocking the heating element will do, but I have slipped that in there just for that. So here we close this up. We're going to turn it on. Air fry. I'm already on the air fry mode. We're going up here. We want to do this for 18 minutes. Take it down to 400 degrees and hit start. So in about 9 minutes, which is halfway through, I'm going to stop and flip them over, and that'll give me a good gauge as to how things are cooking. We've hit the halfway point, so I'm going to turn these nuggets over. I will say they are getting crispy, so that means I'm probably going to end them a little earlier. Remember how I said earlier I'm going to be checking on them because I'm doing a little hotter than they like. But I'm going to turn these over. The French fries are looking good too. And in about maybe 7 minutes or so, we're going to check on these nuggets again because I don't want them to get too crispy. So we've been cooking now for about 12 minutes, and I think it's done. I'm not even going to run the full 18 minutes. My nuggets are crispy, and my French fries or waffle fries are starting to get that golden brown color, and I don't really want them to cook any more than that. So it's important to be watching the first few times you cook until you get the exact temperature and time you need. I would recommend watching it, but mine look like they're done, so I'm going to take them out here. They are pretty good. All right, so here is my delicious plate of nuggets and fries. Let me try a French fry real quick. Very crispy and delicious. I really like it. All right, let's go on my nuggets. It's hot on the inside, crispy on the outside. Absolutely perfect. Whoa, those were good too. I had to stop it a little earlier than scheduled, but so be it. I'm learning along the way. Today, I was doing part 1 of my Maxx Air Fryer oven by a company called KALORIK. In part 2, I'm going to be looking at some steak. I'm going to be using the rotisserie feature, so you'll be sure to look forward to that. At the end of this video, I will post a link when that one's finally posted. My first impression, however, not so bad. I like this air fryer oven. This is Jeff with Jeff Reviews for You. As always, thanks for stopping by. I hope you have a great day. I really do appreciate that you stayed around for my entire review of part 1 of the KALORIK Maxx Air Fryer oven. What I'm going to do is I'm going to link some other air fryer reviews that I've done right up here, and I would love it if you would go click on them, and by the magic of the internet, I will join you. Go ahead, click one. They're safe, I promise.